Well, hello everyone. Welcome back right here. Talk about for the Gold Monument 5, and this sequel right here is going to be talking about the location for South Dakota, and basically talk about the four faces right here, and looking at some old images right here, as you see right here, is I would include right here is the four faces I went ahead and sketched right here, and I know some of the Photoshop work I was not able to present here, but on your hand that you see right here is an example right here of for President Lincoln, or if it's any other type of a famous person, as well as for United States right here along with the American flag. But and I know with anybody that if they seen from the previous and that you're Warren Tour, that yeah, that other locations that more likely use as well. And you see right here is I went ahead and use right here is my recent picture right here for digital designing, as well as for Matthew Sean McGuire, age 32, and then it's for Celebrate Safely. So these right here will be some examples right here of my Photoshop work, and I know from the last one is that where I left off is talking about say for the gold coin, and then you have right here is for Celebrate. So I know this contains a lot of information right here, and Warren to where that knowing about really about what does automatic basically mean, and you're Warren to where that whenever the program or something automatically is done, and you're Warren to where at the time for anything that you're doing, and at the time you weren't to where that auto basically means is to where that does that basically mean is to where you're programming the software, you're actually given a it's you're whenever you're working on something based on a program or any type of work, and then what do we call it for whenever something is automatically completed or automatically done? Does that basically mean is to where that the program's kind of understanding a little bit about something similar for what you're doing, about maybe related about what you're doing or any other thing, something like that. But you have right here is a picture right here of me, and let's just say that if I was what you call, I was out, in the outdoors during this time, but if I was sitting in front of a computer and working with the keys and the controls about, you say, the language arts of speech, and celebrating life for my birthday, or if it's going to be for graduation, and anybody that more likely weren't, or that that for thinking that all the things that maybe that they're not used to, especially seeing, and you have right here is example right here of this right here will be for most of us have seen right here from where I left off, talking about for UI, it's it's for being surprised, especially it's well, and knowing about for all the other things knowing about say for variety, and then as well as spell check and stuff like that. So that I know for almost anything that we're going to be doing is that thinking necessarily to where to spell check on our stuff, just to be able to make sure that that it's spelled correctly, especially. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you right here. I know from where I left off, I was not able to explain this. I know we may have seen about maybe 30 seconds or so of from the last time, but this right here is some of my classwork right here that it's more than 10 years old, so it was more than a decade ago from whenever I wrote this. And like with anybody that they may weren't, or from where I left off, from part 4, is that that getting a job is that to where that if it takes putting the work, it's so far as for type of skills that more likely that you need to have, and I know that it's a little bit harder to read, and yeah, it's apologize if it is pretty much hard to read, but I haven't read through parts of this form right here, and basically that this right here talks about engineering, and as well as for the other types of degrees and training requirements. So if this could be maybe a result of a part of the gold monument, is to where that really that what we call it for whenever we get the training at home compared to going to the actual company or business and getting training there, and some that may say was considered homework, but on the other hand too, what the gold monument is basically talks about is to where what was completed. So any courses, any amount of years that were completed, that basically that you're in a job that way. But on the other hand, that I guess I can look at this as to where if I want to look at it maybe like a notepad or journal or anything like that, that during that time that I just wrote a few things. I think during that time it was during class actually that studying about for the basic requirements about if you want to be this person or be that person. One of the things that I did that maybe mention about like carpentry and maybe working a bricklayer and others. So you're being a truck driver. I know that whenever I was young, that I talked about wanting to be a helicopter pilot and all those other type of studies. And this right here would be right here, example right here of like the minutes and hours counted. So whenever we're going to be working on something, especially like for gold monuments, to where you spend countless hours, we may warrant to where what does that usually mean whenever that somebody says countless hours is to where you spend so much time working on something and it's like yeah you do spell check right here and like warrant to where that spell check that underline this right here and then you may not check to see what time it was before you start working on something. So you're like thinking necessarily to where that you're looking at it's like for the graduate student qualified, for the graduate, and then as well you have right here's a picture right here of me. But on the other hand, this is basically what this is right here, is to where this is like some of my classwork right here. And other than using the zoom control, but if anybody wanted to see this right here, that they can, like if you can read that, but I keep wondering to where how come the date's not on there because I can, I can remember that I was looking for something around September or so that, and then as well as for the dates is that I can remember during this time it was an English class or I think it was in another class I was in where you research different jobs and stuff, write down the details about them. But on the other hand, that for a lot of things that I mentioned about what I wanted to be whenever I grow up, and I know whenever I got my driver's license, I may have mentioned about maybe delivery jobs or anything like that. But but thinking necessarily to where that a lot of things that you may mention in the classroom and the teachers or whoever that may ask later on, how come you never got too serious in that study? So, and I can tell you by here just because that a lot of my artwork is based on like for creativity, that it seems like to where that you may have it to where that you have quite a few jobs actually that after you graduate, then it's like there are jobs out there that they might likely say is to where that they only begun at like between certain seasons, as to where if it's a farm job or a side job or any type of job like that. The jobs that more likely are only going to keep you busy for about 3 weeks until that you wind up you get time off or something like that. But on the other hand, that this right here, could be me right here as examples to where that anybody that may warrant to where that you're going to be what you call the types of jobs that maybe that you may have gotten maybe when you're about 2 or 3 years old. So let's just say that one of those very first jobs could have been is to where that if you check the mail and then you find something in the mailbox that maybe that that the parents need to be pay attention to, or anything that's going on outside or anything like that. So at the time you're like warranted to where that anything that's going on, maybe a phone call or two that was taken or anything like that, and wanted to where that hey that there was somebody called that for somebody and like warrant to where hey that you got a message or so from somebody or anything like that. But you have right here, and I know like with anybody that I wanted to where that if you do if I'm gonna be doing a gold monument 6 and 7 or 8, I'm like, you do 3 more. I'm like, but on the other hand, that I can maybe add in right here or like some details right here for like we say for packaging details about where the package could be going for the graduating students, and as well as anything else that more likely that this right here could be an example right here of like a delivery stamp. So think about this right here. It's like for anything that's automatically completed and warrant to where that instead of, and I know like with anybody that it's hard to remember a lot of that stuff about whenever you're getting ready to mail something or somebody's wanting to know about want to confirm your postal address as well as with anything that's related to like delivery or like what you call special awards like for Gold Monument or so, and warrant to where that well, we would think that you would automatically know the information. It should be in the profile. But anyway, talk about say for language arts, and as well as with this coin right here. And I know anybody that more likely wants to where that if you're going to maybe be getting into that later on, maybe for 6 and 7 is to where that I know with some of my art skills, if I want to include like maybe some more details right here of the buildings, and maybe with the bridge in the background or something like that. And you have right here is me right here with these devices right here for like the study hours. But and then I have right here is like for happy birthday. For me it's like for Gold Monument, and then for Gold Coin, and then you see right here is that these right here is like celebrate safely, and then you also see right here is like for the four faces. And I know that I keep wondering to where that this when the picture I was looking at was taken from back in 1978, and like with anybody that whenever you're going to be looking at anything that related to gold, and I'm like wondering to where that the Gold Monument, that if anybody that may warrant to where that anything that you may find like what you call like for gold, for the United States Treasury, for anything related to maybe taxes or maybe gold, if you want to call them maybe gold bars or gold coins or maybe gold dollar bills or anything like that. And we weren't aware that, if there's going to be any type of cash gold dollar bills, and what are they going to look like, and I'm like, weren't aware they even going to be made. And at the time, we weren't aware if the money that we have, that we use here in the United States of America, I'm like, I even heard that it's not actual paper, it's prints, I guess, if you want to call it print qualified, print quality, paper. So that's a special kind of paper that's printed, from the Treasury. And I keep thinking though that for anything that's related to, and I know that a lot of the coins that we more likely see nowadays is that it may include like maybe like a bird or maybe something like a deer or so. And I know like with anybody that if I'm going to be doing another sequel later on, maybe in August, to where I'm going to be working a deer. Like if I'm going to go ahead and include like maybe a deer and then maybe the mountains in the wilderness or something like that. Maybe that the tall skyscrapers. So anybody that may warrant or that well, let me know what you would like to see, and more likely I'll be able to see what I can do. But I know with me being busy in class too, you gotta work on that. But anyway, but talk about for the Gold Monument 5 is that there was a few other pictures that I did want to use, especially that one of those was like which I know that maybe I'm gonna maybe save that for 6, and then as well as for 7, and number 7 that more likely could be related to like what you call is like a for management job accounts or something like that. But so I'm sure anybody that more likely weren't, or they getting tired of seeing the same old thing. But on the other hand, I put some new things in here, but other than that, they're just using these right here just so that everybody can see right here. This is where from part 4 is where I left off, and then you have right here is like with me right here, my baby picture. And I know that anybody that may want to wear that between now and August, though, between now and August and maybe around September, that I may be doing about maybe 3 more, or say parts, three more of these sequel activities is talking about to where that making sure that most of us would have a good idea about is to where that whenever they do graduate, then the things that kind of give them an idea for what they would expect in the mail, especially for what they got to do so far as taxes go. So I know with me though that whenever I listen to the radio sometimes that I keep thinking about is to where that explain to a lot of people here about Gold Monument is basically is to where that type of job to where it seems like to where that not too many people that they want to keep coming back to it. So it's like Gold Monument, according to my definition with me, is to where that something to where people that that find very interesting, is to where that they don't want to leave it, that they want to go ahead and promote, there's any type of promotion or anything related to, like we say, higher quality upgrades or anything like that. So I know that that gold monument to most of us more likely sounds more like something like what you calls like, yeah, for like maybe a statue, or maybe anything that's related to liberty or anything like that, or maybe anything such as something that's worth a lot of history. So if this right here, that gold coin right there, but I'm like, yeah, that you have right there is a gold coin right here with me with the back, gold coin. But you got the gold coin, and then right here would be right here is like the boats right here, like the Statue of Liberty right here, the glow Statue of Liberty. And but most of us, I'm sure, had not seen about these statues. And I know that the way I went ahead and drew these right here is I try to make it look like if it was actual real stone. So I'm sure, like anybody, that if they weren't, or yeah, go ahead and use right here's the pencil tool. Go ahead and add some detail right here, and like yeah, with the red, go ahead and add like a little bit for the red, white, and blue. Give it like a red, white, and blue. And I use crayon, by the way, to do some of this. And I know with a little bit of my Photoshop work, but for whatever reason, I could not use that file document from the Photoshop work. So that's why that I'm like, I include that right there, the United States right there. And then you have right here is the trees right here. So if this was like a history project, anybody that more likely weren't, where like especially U.S. history and knowing about the history about our presidents as well as the education. Maybe not every president is going to have what you call maybe the best education. Maybe not every president is going to have a college degree, or maybe and I know that most of them, which I know that they likely weren't, or that yeah, that besides any presidents, if it's going to be for congressman, or if it's a famous writer or anybody like that, you're like weren't, or that yeah, the jobs that may only go on for 4 years, but you're like weren't, or how long should a job go on for? Maybe forever, or maybe for about 15 years. And I know, like with anybody, that whenever they get a job and work a job for about 15, 20 years, and you're like weren't, or what about my retirement? So so I know, like with any kids, that they weren't, to where that yeah, that it seems like to where at the time that for any type of retirement, that it seems like that really that for the amount of money that you need to make just to be able to take retirement, and for how much for like a retirement fund, especially according to what we understand about the United States of America, is that for like for, and I know most people would probably say that, oh, I've worked most of my lifetime. I've worked for since I was a kid, that I some that may say that since they were 8 years old that they used to do yard work or farm work with somebody like that they knew, or with a family member or aunt or uncle. And they're like Warren, to where that that they didn't wait until they were 14 years old to start working. And, quite a few of them that may said that they start working whenever they were about 8 years old. They did chores at home. And I know, like with anybody, that you're like Warren, to where yeah, that's one thing that's not included in our taxes. And at the time, people may warn to where, why is it? Why isn't it not? Why? How come our chores and our times and our chore list, including the folding the laundry and then doing the dishes or anything like that, cleaning the windows and maybe vacuuming the floors and cleaning the chimney and ironing the table, making setting the table, and as well as fixing the meals. How come a lot of that stuff is not included in our W-2 forms? So you're like Warren, to where if you do it for somebody else, then more likely that could be included in your W-2 form. But if you do it more likely for just for you, or more likely if it's going to be what you call that doing it for like maybe the cafe or the restaurant or something like that. So anybody that may want to where that almost everything that you're going to be learning about at home, and like with anybody that I keep warning too, is that a lot of my artwork, especially to where that yeah, you're going to be spending about maybe 2 or 3 hours in your bedroom, working on something, and you didn't think that people would more likely be watching it here. It's like to where you're gonna go ahead and say, oh, okay, yeah, I think that this right here could use a little bit of red, and then a little bit of red up here as well. You just if these were like mountains, and as well as maybe if there's a city or so in the background. So like for Mount Rushmore, that which I'm sure if anybody here has been there before, that this right here will be a drawing right here. I was looking at a photograph, but that I'm like, yeah, that I didn't add a whole lot of detail to there. But on the other hand, that for like Gold Monument though, that this right here would be example right here that I don't know if this was a President Thomas or I'm like, yeah, for Washington, or if Lincoln would be in there somewhere. But this right here would be example right here for like for Abraham Lincoln, President Abraham Lincoln. It's like for George Washington, and I'm trying to remember a few of the other presidents that I know, one or two of them that may be in there that I don't think I mentioned. But anyway, but you got right there is the presidents right here, and then you have right here is the mountains right here. You like these cliff mountains right here if this was like stone. So I know like if this was like a fourth grade project, then I'm sure a lot of kids would probably think about as to where that that they would probably like to see something else, such as that maybe some more clouds, and you have right there is a bird right there. Hey, that with the bird, are you going to put it maybe a bear, a bear on the top, or maybe a deer, any type of wildlife animal that more likely could be right here? And I'm like, it's going to be in red, but yeah, I can go ahead and include something like maybe like a deer right here on the top. So anybody that may want to, or yeah, like a little deer right here, and like where you got right there is go ahead, yeah, trying to make it not look too sloppy Joe right here. But anyway, you got right there is like a deer right there. All right. Yeah, kind of like, I'm like, yeah, I just put as much detail as I can. I know that kind of just thinking about as to where that you switch tools here. But anyway, but just to kind of give people an idea, is that this was right here was a deer right here, and like you have right here is that the president's right here, and as well as for President Lincoln. So anyway, then I'm sure that like with anybody, is to where that you put as much detail into something within the amount of time, then I'm sure that people will probably think about as to where you're just trying to explain the story about the gold monument here. Is that to where a job that's going to keep you going, a job that's going to keep you busy, keep you going, as well as you're getting people interested in understanding about what you got to do. And like with anybody, is to where I don't think any job really is to where that for anything that you're doing that really that I don't think any job is going to be going by as to where that from what you want, for maybe something that you want, you may have to go by the requirements. And I know like with any job that you do get, that you may have to go by the requirements as to where if you're going to be working a job to where that they want they want you to use this program and go by the requirements. Those requirements could be as to where to set in the pixels and then the pecans, or if it's maybe the inches or so around the border right here, or anything like that. So that's the way I think about it, though, is that that with this type of picture right here, this right here could be just an example right here of a drawing right here. But then if anybody were like wanted to, where that this would be displayed on like say in high definition for the monitor screens for the websites, and then they may tell you that that some work that you need that for like illustration work that they ask you to add to maybe some graphic work right here, and as well as maybe for shining up the trees, and if this is supposed to be like a deer right here or so, they may do some. They may ask, they may recommend to maybe put some details in for the sky. So, so at the time, it just seems like whenever you show a good detail amount of work into your work, into your talented work right here, and thinking necessarily to where that really that somebody else is more going to say, well, I know this is not included or this is not in order, but I would suggest that go ahead and add this or that. So anybody that may want to, or that if they can do any editing, that they would maybe ask as to where can I request can I make a suggestion here? I would like to request, I would like to see, besides birds right here in the background, I would maybe like to see maybe some stars. Maybe if I can, have a clear view of what this looks like, especially at nighttime. Can you present some lights reflecting, maybe some water, some water effects or something like that. Maybe like a reflection. Do like a little reflection effect right here of the presidents. So anybody that may want to where that you're going to be looking at something like this, and then like artists like me is going to probably say, hey, I want to see something with the reflection. Put like a little shadow right here. Do like a little reflection shadow right here. So I know, like, with any work that any artist that more likely want to tour, that you start working something, you would think that yeah, that anything that you suggest and that you already done, and then the more likely warrant tour, that you would think that the audience would automatically know the pictures tour about the Gold Monuments tour. Yeah, well, okay, yeah, I understand now. Well, is it possible? I would like to also make a request is to where I would like to see some shadows, as well as can you give this a different color and give that a different color, and you might want to where that may mean is you gotta go back and do some changes or so with that file, and that like warrant tour. Really, I'm like, is that what artist jobs are all about, or maybe taking care of other source of information as well. So anybody that more likely warrant tour that with the job that you go on in, it basically means is to where something that keeps you busy in life. With anybody that may warrant to where if it doesn't keep you busy, then more likely it may just be called the bored monument. The bored monument, or maybe something such as what you call the useless monument, or anything like that. And like maybe not even in the gold monument, maybe the clear monument, or the clear long monument, or anything like that. Anything that represents us to where it contains zero. So anybody that may want to where yeah, what's the opposite between gold? It's like knowing about you have right here, right? It means it equals nothing. And then we may think necessarily to where a penny is equal to a penny is so cheap to where that not too many people really want to collect them. But really, I'm like, what coin is equal to zero? And I'm sure that they could probably say, yeah, a counterfeit coin. A counterfeit coin is equal to zero. Fake coins are equal to zero. But like for the penny or a gold coin is equal to many. So that's just the way I think about right here, is to where that anybody that may want to where you do the study about that. But if this was right here was a history project, and I know like with anybody, remember the Star Spangled Banner whenever you go to class and like wearing the Star Spangled Banner and like go look at the stars and like oh say can you see by the dawn's early light on your hand that like, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, individual with liberty and justice for all. And then when we look at this and knowing about the whole part about graphic designing too, or for digital design, that be anybody that may want, or yeah, that for what's the main purpose about for like any type of graphic designing is to where a lot of things that are required. And one of those could be is to where getting people's attention about, okay, listen up everybody, this is what we're going to be learning today. So seems like at the time is to where yeah, the amount of information that's put into like what you call something like this. So that's something that I kind of call, I say, the gold monument, is to where that for like graphic designing is to where that you put so much detail into what you call into one piece, or it could be maybe about up to 3 pieces. You use one piece right here, and you do a certain amount of actions and activities right here. So that's another thing. That's another definition I guess I can say for right now about graphic designing, as well as web designing, as well as digital designing, is to where think about is to where the amount of information that you can collect and you can work with just to form a design, just to know about if it contains a type of language, and as well as for how it speaks, and as well as if you want to include like a drawing or an illustration right here, some pen work right here, as well as any other type of activity. This right here could be like maybe theme that presents, and as well as maybe for artist name. So if anybody wants to where yeah, well, where's the artist's name? Like, well, I'll go ahead and put right here, since I did draw this right here, I could probably say, yep, there's for McGuire right here. So if anybody were to want to check, is like, checking is like knowing about, like, yeah, that for anything that we're like be talking about, and knowing about, for, yeah, the artist name and for what they present. And this was right here for like history. And anybody that may want to do our studies about, American history, or if it's going to be about, United States history or any other type of history. And at the time that maybe we may want to, or that if there is a subject that's related to like studying about money, I'm like, history class that talks mainly about accounts and money. And I'm sure that there are classes like that, out there, especially to where you can take them and they can talk to you about the history about money, and as well as now about budgeting the accounts, as well as for anything that's online. Is that services online, and which I know that nowadays that they may talk a little bit about that, about the history about our accounts, but for how they're managed and how they're managed electronically, that type of stuff. So anybody that may want to tour that, yeah, I only included right here about maybe 8 stars, even though there's about 50 or so stars in the American flag. But anyway, yeah, but there you have it. Talk about, say, for the Gold Monument 5, and like anybody that may want to tour that, yeah, am I going to be doing a part 6, and it's like a for 6 and 7 and 8, but see what happens around around August and September. But anyway, but there you have it. I talk about it here for the Gold Monument 5 and Gold Monument 5. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.